Hi everybody, I've got a fun sew for you. It's very familiar to another one that we have done. This is Frank. Frank is the sibling to Franny. I'm sure you all remember Franny. So Frank, what makes Frank different from Franny is that Frank has a nice solid front and Frank doesn't have a pouch. Frank is very much like a man. He doesn't think we need all that extra stuff apparently. Frank has another fun feature. So because Frank has this solid panel, you can really get fun and funky on the inside. So I do talk about later in this video, like the different options that we can do on the inside of Frank. And just like the Franny, it can be a fanny bag or it can be a crossbody. So without further ado, let's get sewing. All right, general tools that I am going to be using include my awl, some double-sided tape. I've got multiple sizes here. I've got 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2 inch. I've got marking tools. I've got various ones. I've got a pair of snips. I've got an X-Acto knife. I've got a turning tool. Got my lighter, just in case. A ruler, this is from More Me Know. I've got my rivet guide. Got my hole punch. And I've got my clips, just in case. I kind of was like, I'm missing something here. These are my general tools that I'll be using throughout my video. For the Frank, you are going to have a back panel lining, a front panel lining. You're going to have a back and front panel main exterior. You're going to have a bottom gusset interior, a bottom gusset exterior. You're going to have, depending on which style bag you're going after, 4 strap connectors, 2 in an exterior material, 2 in lining material, 2 D-ring connectors, a zipper gusset and zipper lining, and 2 card slot sides, and a card slot strip. Make sure when you are cutting your lining pieces out that you use the exterior to trace that out, because sometimes it gets a little wonky when it prints. So use your exterior as your template when you cut the linings out. For the Frank, you are going to need a zipper tape that's cut to the length of the zipper tape, maybe a little bit, or zipper gusset, maybe a little bit longer. If you are doing the crossbody version, you will need 2 D-rings and a single zipper pull. If you are doing the crossbody or the fanny pack style, you will need one of these jobbers, which comes apart like this. And then for webbing, specifically for this piece, this is going to be entirely based on your measurements. I will be working with about 35 inches of webbing and a piece of 4 inches of webbing. When you're working on the credit card slot side of the panel, you are going to want to make some lines. Decide which side is going to be the top and which side is going to be the bottom. From the top, you are going to draw a line that's 3 inches down. Then you're going to draw another line that's 1 3/4 inches from this line. And then from this line, you will draw another line that's 2 inches and 1/4 away. From this line, you will draw another one that's 1 3/4 inches. Then from here, you will draw another one that's 2 1/4 inches. And then you will draw one final line that is 1 3/4 inches, so that you will be able to do your credit card slots. So one more time, 3 inches down, 1 3/4 inches, 2 1/4, 1 3/4, 2 1/4, 3 1/4. Once we get there, we are going to use a ruler to help us fold that. So the easiest thing to do, just to go ahead and get us started, I will fold this one up right on that line. Then I will use a ruler, line it up right there against that line, and I will flip this down And I will give this a really nice press. Then I will flip this back up so that I can press at my next line like that. Line my ruler up, press this down, press it a little bit, pull that out, press, lift this up, press, put my ruler in, press, and then obviously you can clip to hold this in place. Now you are free to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch all 3 of these. Just make sure that you move things out of the way to top stitch. Once you get yourself top stitched, I would recommend, you don't have to, but I would recommend also just kind of basting these down. But again, you don't have to do that. You're going to need your card slot sides, and then we are just going to put these face down, right sides together, and we are going to clip these in place like so. We will take this to the machine where we will sew at 1/4 of an inch to secure this. We will flip it open and then top stitch to make sure that those don't move. Once you get that down, I'm going to press this open really wide, and then I'm going to top stitch on this side down here. So for the frank, you get a couple extra options here. So you get everything to make the credit card slots, to make that one of your panels if you decide to. But you also get these extra front and back linings. So the frank gives you a couple options because it doesn't have the window. So you can decide to have no pockets whatsoever. You just, you know, we're going to put it together. It's going to be flat faced, nothing. Or, you know, you could have one side be credit card slots and one side be nothing. Totally up to you. Or, third option for the frank, you can take your spare lining, you can fold it in half, top stitch it, and now you have a little bit of a slip pocket to add to your frank. So it's entirely up to you what you want to do for your frank. You can be very creative here. I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this and baste it on so that my frank can have the slip pocket. Once you get your linings figured out and made, either the credit card, the slip pocket, or however you want to do that, then you're going to attach them to the front and back main panel, and you're going to baste those on. Make sure you find your centers and your side centers because you will need that later. For the crossbody version, for D-rings, you are going to do this just like we always do. You're going to find the center. That was not a very good line, Nefarious. And then I'm going to use some double-sided tape. And I'm going to take the ends and fold them to the center line we just drew.
At the sewing machine, I'm going to sew your choice, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. I think I'm going to do a 1/4 inch all the way around, and then I will attach the D-ring and set these to the side. So I'm going to go sew these up real quick. Once you get these all sewn up, I'm going to attach the D-rings. I'm going to clip. You could baste these closed if you choose, but I'm just going to clip them. And then for now, I will set those to the side. So if you are deciding to do the strap connector option, now obviously there are a few ways you could do it. You could decide to do D-rings here. If you decide to do like a regular crossbody strap connector, since this is a fanny pack, I'm going to show you how to use a parachute buckle. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the piece the clip buckle goes into. I'm going to thread this through just like this. I'm just going to have this sit still for a minute. You're going to want to go ahead and like find the centers because you don't want your fanny to be like lopsided. I mean, you might. I don't, but you might. I'd like it to be somewhat lined up. Then I'm going to take this and I am going to center my webbing right over that snip I just made. Now I'm probably going to pull this in about 1 inch. Yeah. I'm going to clip that to hold. It still looks wonky. There we go. Then I'm going to take the lining side and I'm going to put it face down. And I'm going to clip all the way around so that this doesn't move. All right, so that one's ready for the machine. For this one, same thing, find your center. Find your center. Then take your long webbing strap and line it up. You can go over a little bit if you'd like. I'm probably going to go same like I did on the other one, 1 inch. All right, looks good. I'm going to use a clip to hold it in place, and then I'm going to take my lining side and I'm going to put it face down. And then I'm going to clip this down. So it doesn't move. Don't know where that came from. So now I'm going to take this to the machine, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch all the way around, and then I'm going to sew 1/8 of an inch all the way around. I will snip those corners, and then I will heat this up with a blow dryer to turn it out. Triangle tip, not cutting through the threads right there, and then I will turn this out. The best thing to do is to heat this up because it is waterproof canvas and vinyl, so that's what I'm going to do. After you get this out, now you have the option to top stitch this if you so choose. I will not be doing that, but what I will do is I'm going to fold this in half and I'm going to find the center. Just like that. And I'm going to repeat the same process for the other strap connector. Gonna find the center again, just like I did for the other one. And we're done with this. So you're going to need your back panel, and I had you find the centers for a reason. You're going to take your strap connector and you are going to line up the center mark you made on the one side, on your edge here, to the side of the back panel. And then you are going to clip in place. And then you are going to do the same thing with its twin over here. After which you are going to want to baste these down. I'm going to roll up my webbing so that we can do the rest of the strap later. I don't want it to get in the way now. So I'm going to go baste this down and then we will move on. So we're going to work on the zipper gusset. You're going to need to have your zipper gusset, exterior and lining, the bottom gusset lining, and your zipper, and your zipper pull. For this, I will be using my 1/8 inch double-sided tape, which seems to have walked off again. The first thing I'm going to suggest is that you find your centers on your zipper gusset. You'll notice that you only have one of those. So you're going to need to find the center mark here. I'm going to use something darker than blue. Then I'm going to put the tape on my vinyl here. Trying something new, living dangerously. I'm gonna put the, oops. And then I'm going to put the zipper right sides together, or zipper face down on the exterior here. And I'm going to add some more tape right here. And then I'm going to take the gusset line, or the zipper gusset lining, and put it face down on the wrong side of the zipper. I'm going to take this to the machine. I'm going to sew it at 1/4 inch. Just a little heads up and forewarning, when you go to sew this, because this zipper tape is, or this zipper gusset is so thin, make sure you sew on the right side. Just heads up. It's 1/4 inch. Make sure you backstitch really good at the beginning and the end. I'm going to line my centers up with the lining and the exterior here, lining up the edges here. Flip it around. Clip. I need one more clip.
I'm going to top stitch all the way down. I'm going to pivot, go around, and sew this up so this is good and secured. Afterward, I'm going to attach my zipper pull so I don't forget to do that. It is just a wee bit fray there. All right, friends, depending on which version you are making, whether it be the fanny pack or the crossbody, this is pretty much where we have to have a fork in the road. If you are doing the fanny pack, don't do this step. If you're doing the crossbody, do this step. This is just shy. The zipper and the zipper gusset is just shy of 2 inches. So you can take, if you're doing the crossbody, you can take your D-ring, line it up directly in the center here, and then we are going to base that on. To both ends. And this is only if you are doing the crossbody. So let me go ahead and do that real fast. If you are not doing the crossbody and you're just doing the fanny pack, you won't need the D-rings. So what you can do is you're going to go ahead and line up your exterior gusset, so right side to right side, and we're going to clip those together. And then you're going to take your lining and you're going to put it right sides together. And then you're going to repeat that for the same exact thing for the other side. I'm going to sew at 1/4 of an inch all the way across, back stitching really good at the beginning and the end. From here, I'm going to turn the bag like this and line everything up. I'm going to flip it right back out. What I want to do is I want to line the bottom gussets up really well because I will want to stitch those together. And I'll show you what I do to do this. And one more. Okay. So I'm going to start in the middle here. And I'm just going to be sewing this at 1/8 of an inch. Make sure you can see. Yep, you can see. I'll pull my threads to the side. All right, now I'm going to come up to this seam here and I'm going to get to the point where I can pivot, and I'm going to top stitch across this seam at 1/8 of an inch. Pivot, continue 1/8 of an inch all the way down. And then I'm going to do it exactly again. Pivot, and down. If you didn't already, I would recommend you finding your center. So I'm going to line up those 2 seams right there. Line up these 2 seams right here. And I'm going to find the centers here. I am going to make a small snip on my zipper. Even though it is clearly marked, I am making a tiny zip, which I would highly recommend you go back with your lighter and singe it so it doesn't fray. Alright. And then I need to find the centers on the side. So I'm going to line up the centers I just found. And I'm going to go doo, 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 doo. Oh look, I get to cut the zipper again. Doop, 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 doop. It's fine, it's fine, everything's fine. Alright. So this is ready now for us to put the whole bag together. Once we get the D-rings connected, we're going to want to attach our bottom gusset. So you're going to take right sides together, and then you're going to want to clip them together. And I seem to have misplaced all of my clips. Aha! Not anymore. And clip. And then we'll repeat for the other side. Clip. Clip. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the lining. Lining it up with the exterior. Clip. Clip. Flip to the other side. Clip. And clip. Then I'm going to sew across at 1/4 inch. Alright, then we are going to flip it to where we have our linings together. So what that looks like is like this. And the reason we're going to do this is so we can sew the linings properly. You want those all nice and right. So I'm going to clip that. And clip that. And clip that. This also gives me a chance to lay those seams down flat. If there's any like bubbling or if they're doing anything weird, I can press those down flat. Now I'm going to start here in the middle and I'm going to base stitch around. When I get to the seam, I'm going to pivot, top stitch this at 1/8 inch, pivot again and go down and repeat that process. Now you're going to find your centers. By doing that, you're going to line up your seams. So I'm lining up those two seams. And then I'm going to find my centers on the bottom on both sides. My centers on the top. Which one was already nicely marked. Okay. When you cut your zipper tape, you want to remember to go back after sewing and cinch that because you don't want it to fray. Then you want to line up those center marks you just cut so that you can find your side centers. Oh, did that. that was silly. There's this one. This one. This one. Maybe. And this one. Okay. Now from here, you are ready to start constructing the bag.
So from this point on, construction doesn't really matter if you have done the strap connectors or the D-ring connectors. So I'm going to start with the back, and as you can see, I've got my 4 cardinal points made, and I've got my gusset. Now what you want to do is you want to line your right sides up. The zipper gusset goes against the back panel. You want the zipper to go to the front panel. So that's what we want to do here. So I'm going to line this up and I'm going to clip it. And I'm going to start with those 4 the 4 center marks that we found. To go ahead and get this going. Now you are going to have to make some snips, so let me grab my really good snips so that this lays flat. And you're going to want to snip around these curves, and you're going to do this on both the regular gusset and the zipper. Just remember that after sewing the zipper, you're going to want to go back and singe it. All right, so what I like to do once I hit this point is I'm going to go around and I'm going to base this on 1/8 of an inch, because then I'm going to turn around and bind it at 1/4 of an inch. However, you are totally okay to go on and sew this at 1/4 of an inch and then go back and do 1/8 of an inch. I do like the reinforced stitching so you don't see like pop stitching anywhere. So I'm going to sew this at 1/8 of an inch and then I'm going to bind it. One small thing I do want to call out is if you did any kind of pockets, whether it's the card slot or the slip pocket, I want to call out that when you are attaching it to your gusset, that you have them going the right direction. Don't be like Nefarious and have them installed upside down. Put them in the right side direction, guys. So that's just my note. Just thought I'd tell you all, I share that.
So like I said, you can do 1/8, you can do 1/4. The whole purpose is to get this sewn together. Backstitch really good at the beginning and the end. Make sure there's no holes. All right, once we get to that point, you're going to want to grab your binding. Now this binding could be, it could be waterproof canvas, it could be, it could be cotton woven, it could be whatever you want. Mine is the 1/2 inch double fold bias, extra wide or something like that. I get it in bulk on Amazon. It's amazing. I'm just going to start by sticking it right there. No, I am not choosing a color that matches. I wanted it to stand out for everybody. And then from here, I will sew this on at 1/4 of an inch, back stitching really good at the beginning and the end. So that's ready for the next bit.
For the frank, what you want to do after you get the back attached is you're going to want to attach the front. Now I saved the front on purpose because it is a little funky to go around the zipper, but it's not a problem. Just like we did with the back, we're going to match up our landmarks. Alright, so this is ready to go to the machine, and we can stitch this just like we did the other side.
So just like we did on the other side, we are now going to bind this side. I'm going to get this all cleaned up here, get all my loose threads. And then I'm going to use a heat gun or a blow dryer to warm up the vinyl so that I can turn this out. So let me clean this up real quick. All right, I'm gonna go get my heat gun and turn this out. From this point on, your bag is almost finished. But what you see here is what you're going to be fighting with. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to train this vinyl to lay down. So what I've got here is just a couple pieces of what I had laying around, some SF101. You can use like Decorative. I've heard people using fleece. I'm going to use, like, some people use binder clips here. I don't have any of those. So I'm going to work on the top here first to get that laid down, and then after a little bit I'm going to come back and I'm going to force these corners down, these right here, so that, you know, it doesn't keep getting caught in our zipper. We don't want that to get caught in our zipper. So I'm going to fold this down. Again, this is entirely up to you, all your preference, but this is what I'm going to leave it at for a little bit, and then I'll come back and we will finish this bag.
Okay, so let's work on this strap. Make sure you have singed your webbing. You're going to need your slider doodad. You're going to thread it onto your slider. Hopefully all your hardware matches if you're doing this fanny pack method. Okay, then you're going to, like if you had a swivel hook or not, you're going to thread it on here. Mine is going to be tight because I think this is supposed to be a parachute hook, but my gosh, that is tight. Anyway, so now I've got this. I'm going to give myself lots of extra webbing here. Okay. Now, I'm going to go up through this one. So I'm going to line up with the strap closest to the back. I'm going to go back through the back here, take it down through the front. I'm going to do the fold over method. So it looks like this. And at this point you could use a rivet guide or a ruler to hole punch this and make it look super nice and professional. But today Nefarious says we're going to thrive in chaos and just eyeball it. Okay, that's what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and stick my rivets in there. One, two, three, four. All right, and then I'm going to use my cam press real quick, set that. All right, and then after you have done that, yes, that is what that is supposed to look like. You can tighten or loosen this as much as you need to. So that is how you finish that strap. There. So that's how you finish that strap.
So here is the Frank, all got the vinyl all pressed down and ready to rock and roll. As you can see, we can just finish this up. This version of Frank does have the fanny strap on it, but even though it's got the fanny strap on it, it's still very much, you could use a crossbody, could go lengthways. I mean, it's entirely up to you how you want to wear Frank. So I want to thank you for sewing with me as we made Frank. Frank, the sibling to Franny, very similar, same construction, just a different kind of panel in the front, a little bit different inside. We showed you how to do both the crossbody and the fanny pack style on this video. It measures about 7.5 inches long, 4.5 inches wide, and almost an inch and a half in thickness. This is an adventurous beginner. There's nothing really difficult here. It's just a little stout and a little thin, so it kind of gets hard to push those corners, but you guys can do it. You guys made it this far with me, so you guys did it. I cannot wait to see all of your Franks out in the wild, and your Frannies, but your Franks. I know there's a lot of fun artwork coming out for these two, so make sure you're tagging K&A Custom Fabrics and your girl Nefarious, because we want to see all of them as you make them. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe down below. So for now, ta-ta, and I'll see you around.